Headphones that John Lennon used to record the final album of the Beatles, titled Let It Be, are expected to fetch a price of £3,000 at auction. The damaged headset was presented to Murray Macauley, who had previously worked as an office boy for the band. Macauley had been employed at the Apple recording facilities located on Savile Row in London during the 1970s. The 71-year-old Mr. Macauley held onto the AKG K60 headphones, which were manufactured in Austria, in addition to other mementos that he accumulated during his time spent working for the Fab Four. A legal document that was retrieved from a garbage and pertains to the band's dissolution in 1974 is included in these packages. The 71-year-old man is currently selling the priceless goods that he has concealed beneath his bed for 25 years. It is anticipated that the headphones would sell for a price of £3,000, but it is possible that they may fetch a much higher price when they are put up for auction at Hanson's Richmond auctioneers. According to Murray, who is from Tunbridge Wells, Kent, in 1971, I had the opportunity to become acquainted with Nigel Oliver, who worked as a tape operator, and George Porky Peckham, who worked as a record engineer at Apple's recording studios. Let It Be, the Beatles' final album, was recorded at Apple Studios in 1969, and these records date back to the time when the Beatles were working on the album. Longer white cabling has been installed in place of the original standard grey jack lead for usage in the studio. It is quite probable that headphones were utilized during the recording sessions that the Beatles conducted in Apple Studios between January 22 to 29, 1969. Prior to their rooftop concert at the building. This is because John showed a clear preference for the AKG K60 brand of headphones, as evidenced by the number of photographs in which he is seen wearing them. During the month of November in 1970, when Murray was only 18 years old, he was offered the job of his dreams with the band. Regardless of what that entailed, we accommodated the specific needs of each unique Beatles. It was virtually a weekly occurrence for me to go shopping for Ringo. For the purpose of obtaining his groceries, I would take a taxi to Harrods. After that, we would make our way to Ringo's residence, where I would deliver the package to Maureen, who is his female spouse. She, along with the children, was a very pleasant person. During his tenure at the office, Macauley occasionally encountered Ringo, George, John, and Yoko. Paul's relationship with John Lennon had already become strained as a result of the legal proceedings surrounding the Beatles' breakup. The first Apple Christmas party I attended, which took place in December of 1970, was incredible. Together with George Harrison, I was seated at a table that was set for three. The Radhakrishna Movement's London Temple was part of the list of errands that included delivering a check from George. On a certain day, I was given the task of cleaning out the area of Boston Place where Apple Electronics had a tiny studio and store. It was necessary to throw away everything. Macauley discovered a copy of the handwritten lyrics to a bathroom window that were written by Mal Evans, a friend of the Beatles, roadie and PA. These lyrics were composed during the recording sessions at Abbey Road. There was also a Bob Dylan Highway 61 songbook which contained notations, chord letters, written by Paul McCartney in red ink. This book was included in the so-called junk. I was taking some cigarettes and a bottle of whiskey to Ringo one day that he sat me down and played his new single, Back of Boogaloo. Ringo had an office at Apple headquarters, and I was delivering the items to him. It was a bit embarrassed that I had to get George's guitar strings, his jeans Levi, orange tab, and Patty Harrison's tights from Miss Selfridge. Other responsibilities involved purchasing these items. One day, I was required to deliver legal documents to John Lennon, and he asked me, during our conversation. After I clarified that I was from Apple's headquarters, the situation became more calm. Steve Brendel, John's personal assistant, took me on a tour of the studio. The recording of Imagine had just been completed by John. There was another room that was painted white, and it was there that John's white grand piano was kept. When it comes to the dissolution of the band's relationship, Murray's memorabilia includes a legal document. It was in 1970 when Paul McCartney filed a lawsuit against Apple Corp Limited because he believed that his financial interests were not being protected. The band eventually broke up in 1974.